Hey, what's going on? It's Matthew, and welcome to Henosis. If you enjoy self development content and you enjoy listening to podcasts or even watching it, then do me a huge favor subscribe to this channel, comment below any questions or your favorite parts from the episodes or any video that we upload on here. I really appreciate you for being here. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. But yeah, let's talk about your background. What's going on back there?
The background, it's so funny. Okay, wait, are we on? Are we going?
We're on.
Sorry. All right. The background, it's so funny. Okay, so 2 years ago, I left an 8-year relationship, and it was like I wasn't planning on it. It just a lot of things happened, and I just had to go. And my best friend from high school of like over 10 years, she just happened to have an extra bedroom and she was like, move in. And I was like, okay. And I had nothing in the room that I was in. I literally had an air mattress and I was sleeping with my pit bull on a sheet because I left everything behind at my ex's place. Like I didn't take anything. And I was sleeping on the air mattress and I had one pillow and like one sheet and there was nothing here. And so this is like the transformation of I think my growth, like I filled this space with like plants and like notes to myself and like my goals and all the books that I like to read. And so I think this overall is just like a kind of reflects the transformation that I've been through the last 2 years. Which is funny because like where I start, like the whole change that I had from starting with nothing when I left my ex, that's not like me. Like I'm always prepared. Like I got my stuff together.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crazy. I felt like rug was just taken from under me. I had to start from zero and I built myself up again. It was very cool.
Yeah.
So that's what
And
this is. This hot, chaotic, organized chaos. That's what it is.
no, it looks good. It looks
Thank you.
I think it's probably my favorite background that I've had.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy because I'm real proud of this. Thanks.
No, of course. So you're a dog mom and you're a plant mom.
I'm a dog mom. I'm a dog mom more than anything. But yeah, and it's funny, my room doesn't get much light, but my plants are thriving and makes me feel like I'm not a plant killer because that was my history in the past. And whatever I'm doing now, it's working, so I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they do those plants do look thriving, so
Thank
um,
you.
they look well
They're
fed.
happy.
They're happy. That's good.
They're eating good.
They're eating good. All the water and sun. There you go. Um, but yeah, Mel, I found we were able to connect because I found you on Dan Koe, who is one of my favorite creators right now. Um,
We
how did
love
you
Dan Koe.
how did you find him?
So, in the last couple of years, I had my own kind of transformation where I just made the choice that I don't want to watch Netflix anymore, and I don't want to just have, mindlessly scroll on Instagram and TikTok. I'm like, I want to better myself because I want to better the people around me. God placed it in my heart to do that, and I realized there was big changes that I had to make in order to become that person. And YouTube is a great resource for finding people with like long form content and that I can, instead of watching a show or whatever to entertain myself, I can watch someone talk about things that they've learned and see their transformation and serve as a source of knowledge or just source of inspiration for myself to do better. But I found Dan. I just like stumbled upon him one day, and it's funny because I found out through an email. So he sends newsletters, and I always read them because he's just a great writer and he always has good information. But he sent a newsletter, and I read it all the way through, and I scrolled all the way down to the bottom of the page, and it said like LLC Tempe, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was like, does he live in Phoenix? And I'm like, oh my gosh, he literally lives in the same city as me. So I was like, that is so cool. And I was like, that's happened with so many people that I found through the internet and like YouTube that I really
Mhm.
admire. And turns out they happen to live in Phoenix. I'm like, wow, so cool. Would love to, connect in that space sometime with them. But yeah, so that's how I found him. And I just I just admire everything that he does, and I like how he carries himself. He's so young too, so it's really
Hmm.
inspirational. And I love the humility that he has and the calmness. He's so grounded, and he's not overly in your face about everything that he knows. And I respect that so much. And
Hmm.
the fact that he formed a community, I think community is always important when you are trying to have influence. You know, it's not about spitting knowledge at people and telling them what they should know. It's about, hey, you know, let's bounce ideas back and forth, and let's, you know, we're in this together. And I'm huge on community. You know, that's part of my culture. I'm an oldest sister. I'm big on just collective unity. And speaking of unity, I looked up the name of your podcast,
Uh-huh.
Henosis, because I love knowing the history behind names of things, and it, correct me if I'm wrong, but it means like unity and oneness, right?
Absolutely.
So cool. So cool. So, I mean, that's just all on brand with the mission that I'm on, and you as well. But I think that's the key that sometimes people miss the mark on. It's like it's about oneness. Everything that you do, it's not just about you. It's for the bigger picture, and it's for the greater good. It's always a collective
Hmm.
um, effort, whether you know
Yeah.
it or not. Hmm.
Yeah. Dan Koe, just to echo what you said, like he's killing it. I stumbled upon
So
him
good.
kind of like you as well. I forgot how I found him. I think I found him on YouTube first before I did Instagram. But he
Hmm.
he kind of blew up off of Instagram first, if I
Oh,
remember. I think
okay.
if I remember correctly.
I don't know. I found him through YouTube. I'm not sure, but
Okay. Either way, he's popping on both. you
yeah,
know.
great.
So
He's doing it
Dan, if you
right.
watch this, sorry if we butcher your history. But yeah, he has that community. I think it's called Modern Mastery. And then I'll admit I'm not super active on there as much as I'd like to be. But
Same
it's
here.
still a great resource to be a part of, and
It is.
seeing all these creators come together to kind of, like you said, bounce ideas, help each other out. It's kind of like, I don't know if people are familiar with, who Andrew Tate is, right? Okay, yeah. So he
Oh
has his
yeah.
own thing, similar to Dan, where it's a community, but they're on his. He's teaching certain things, and then Dan's teaching certain things as well. So it's I think it's huge. Whether you're a part of his or Dan's, it doesn't really matter. I think it's key to be a part of something where you're learning and you're growing and developing.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Dan, he just the way he thinks, he's so. I love the way he communicates. Like he
Yes.
communicates so, like it's precise. Like it's very
Yes.
precise, and it's like I feel like every single word is very
It hits.
intentional. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so he's. If you're not following Dan Koe, I highly recommend, if you're listening to this podcast, follow Dan Koe. You won't be disappointed because he will illuminate some light bulbs for you, and that's what he does for me. He makes you think about things and like, oh, I never
Hmm.
saw it that way, or I never thought of it that way. And so, especially if you're a creator, I think his niche is very creator
Yes.
centric. You know what I mean?
He's such a creative. Like he's a great creator, content creator.
Hmm. And thank you for looking up the name of Henosis. I think you're the first person who's
Yeah.
done that. So,
Really? Well,
yeah.
I'm honored, and I think it's so cool. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how'd you come up with that name? I know this is your podcast,
Uh,
but I'm curious.
no, no. Hey, it's a conversation. Well, I always wanted to do a podcast, right? And I was trying to find a name that was like a one word name. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I love simple names, one word.
yeah.
I'm very simple, in my own nature. Um, and so I wanted a one word name, and I was just looking up different um, things. I think I've always been fascinated with like ancient culture, and
Hmm.
more so like ancient Greek,
It's
Roman.
Greek. Yeah, I saw that.
And so I like that stuff. I was trying to find a Hebrew name. I was trying to find like these different ancient language, like ancient languages. I was trying to look through
Mhm.
these different words. I felt like that came out so jumbled, but
No, 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 no. I get it. Yeah,
okay, good.
yeah, yeah. I feel
Hopefully
it.
people get it.
They'll get it. The right people will get it.
There you go. But I was just looking up names, and I was like, the intention of my podcast is exactly that, to bring people together and to not be so narrow-minded, but be open-minded.
Mhm.
And I think that's the gist of what I'm trying to do here, is just get people together, share information, share
Yeah,
experiences in efforts to unite people together, and so
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? You know what I mean? No matter where you're at, where you're listen to this, um, we all want the same thing at the end of the day. So,
yeah,
and that's what I'm trying to do. And there's other podcasts very similar to what I'm doing, and they're doing it on bigger scales. But everyone has their own specific way of conducting that podcast and leading a conversation, and every single person thinks differently, and so I think I can ask different questions than someone else might. Do you listen to different podcasts too?
Oh yeah, definitely. And quick note before we
Yeah,
answer I
yeah.
answer that question. I just wanted to mention that I think, this theme has been coming up where we maybe compare ourselves to other people who are kind of doing the same thing. But I think
Mhm.
of people like, the greats like Kanye, Drake,
Mhm.
Lil Wayne. It's like they're all great, right? But they
Mhm.
bring their own influence and their own touch that cannot be replicated. So it doesn't matter what they're doing because they're them. It's
Mhm.
theirs and it's their own. And I think that's what you do here. It's just you are curating the people that you bring on here. I mean, I've seen you have a combination of like neuroscientists and sleep doctor and like
Mhm.
coaches, and it's so cool because you've handpicked these people because you've seen something in them and you see the value that they bring. And so I love your vision, and it because it's your own, like it's so special and it's unique, it's
Mhm.
yours. And you know focus on that. And I think the right people are going to find the right kind of value from it. But to answer your question about podcasts, yeah, I mean, I've definitely in the last 2 years, especially, I've replaced all entertainment with like audiobooks and podcasts. So I like to hear conversations. Like
Mhm.
I just love to hear stories, and I like to hear people's backgrounds and their perspective on things. I think, understanding that everyone is a teacher if you just listen, and just being a student to everyone is key. And just knowing that, you don't have to agree exactly with everything that someone says or their values, but everyone has different life experiences. So there's always going to be some value, and it's up to you to just see that in them.
Hey, thanks for sticking all the way through. If you enjoyed that piece of content right there, don't forget to like the video. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Comment below your favorite parts, or maybe if you have a question about what was discussed and talked about. Either way, I really appreciate you for being here. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.